Hello everyone, I wanted to talk to you today about the current state of the world through the lens of Pluto in Aquarius and then the tarot card that is associated with the first 10 degrees of Aquarius, which is where Pluto is currently located, the Five of Swords, to give you a little precursor that might be helpful to take into consideration before we move forward. Pluto is transformational. It is the deep psyche of the collective. It represents power, the power structures, and it represents hidden truths being revealed. It's the underbelly of society. And swords in the tarot represent communication, the mind, and conflict. And then Aquarius is the collective. It is technology, and it represents fixed air. So when we think about fixed air, rigid, thought, brain, the wider collective. Here we go. I wrote this piece on the Five of Swords a couple years ago, and now that Pluto has fully ingressed into Aquarius and we're really getting the vibe of what, we're picking up what it's putting down, reading back through this and going through my notes again, it just pinged a lot for me, so I'm going to read this, let that sink in as we travel along. Five of Swords, the first decan of Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius. As with all fives, this card illuminates a crisis. I also see fives as checkpoints. Aquarius is an air sign, and this card is ruled by Venus. We see a rupture in relationality here. Using the tongue as a blade, the sharpness of the Aquarian, detached, overly logical perspective cuts the harmony it actually deeply craves. In the traditional Rider-Waite deck, we see three people. One person is holding three swords as if they've taken them by force. There's another person in the back crying, and then there's a bystander. This card is deeply confronting. What role out of these three people are we playing? It must win at all costs. This is trauma. This hooks right into our survival triggers. I see a visualization of a ping pong table. And of course, every time the ball comes your way, you whack that shit back. Defensive as fuck, no matter what. This card is deeply systemic. I can say that about every card in some form, but this one really screams it for me. Aquarius is the collective. It is us. Venus is connection. But this energy makes it us versus them. I have this visualization of the collective being portrayed by a beautiful, glistening spider web. And I did a little rendition of that. I'll put it up here that I did a few years ago. This decan slashes that spider web. It severs the connection, causing us to feel isolated. We lose our charge that's created in unity. We lose our strength and creativity, and continue this never-ending cycle of perpetuated hurt. Amanda Yates Garcia does an amazing episode on her podcast, Between the Worlds, on this card, and she sees this specific minor arcana as the curse card. This curse infiltrates deeply into family lineages, which in turn reflects the curse of our society as a whole. Hurt people hurt people. This energy is so sneaky, and I'm no stranger to pulling this card semi-frequently. Thank God it was back in the day. It really calls for you to step out of a situation and take that breath before responding. See your role. What are you actually doing with your words? What narrative are you spinning to protect yourself? We see many dysfunctional families and interpersonal relationships where fighting is considered normal. An individual in this dynamic oftentimes feels powerless, so they will create connection by fighting. Because connection of any kind is better than no connection at all, right? Sometimes that's all a person knows. See how a curse like this is? It's woven so deep into the human system, and there's a lot of distrust here. When we distrust those around us, we distrust ourselves and vice versa. It's just so isolating. I see this as a verbal kill shot. It's like those comebacks that just roll off your tongue and should be taken right back, but it's too late. It's kind of like a boomerang too, because ultimately no one wins. What you send out there comes right back. You might feel good for a millisecond, maybe even a day, using language in this way. But when we hurt others with our words from a place of ego protection, we hurt ourselves in the process. Sometimes this isn't always so in your face either. Like I said, this energy can be sneaky. It can be the subtle manipulation of how you say something to someone. On the surface, it could look clean, but there's a sharpness that can be felt in the trail of the words or the energy in between. And I will say it again. Know what role you're playing. It's confronting as hell seeing yourself play the perpetrator, but this awareness is what heals and brings change. It's curse breaking. I will mention here too that this card also means standing up for yourself. Another pattern that can emerge in relationship is disassociating and avoiding. So to actually say, fuck it, I'm done being treated like this, and to stand up for yourself is a huge shift in ways of connecting. It takes practice to hold your blade strong, so be sure to allow yourself the grace to practice saying things perhaps a little harshly. Language and connecting is an art. It really does take time and intention to learn. Also, relating is never perfect. The people we love the most are probably the people who have hurt us the most. Let's have some compassion and patience as we navigate bringing a new paradigm of relating into this new world. Let's communicate from a place of self-awareness, truth, and love, and stop talking shit. So with all that being said about the Five of Swords, I invite you to take even a pause, just as a small invitation, I'm going to take it, to reflect on how the energy of the Five of Swords translates to your life and how you can see it in the current state of the powers in this world, the systems that be. And I was reflecting on why I even made this video today, because I felt very compelled to create this. And I realized it's because I use tarot and astrology as a bridge of communication to deepen the web, to find people who resonate with this kind of language. And it's not to tell you what to do, convince you to believe a certain thing. It's just a truth from my soul. And I feel like that's a great remediation for the Five of Swords, is just honesty and truthfulness and clarity without defensiveness and dominating one another. What really sparked me wanting to talk about this as well is I was listening to the Undivided Attention podcast, and the episode was, what would it take to actually trust each other again? And it talks about the game theory dilemma, and their guest is Dr. Sanja Amadei, and she's a professor of political science, and she explores how much of our world today can be summed up in the cold logic, very Aquarian, of if I don't, they will. If I don't, they will. This is the foundation of game theory, which holds that cooperation and virtue are irrational, and that all that matters is the race to make the most money, gain the most power, and play the winning hand. And it rewards those who are Machiavellian, They are characterized by manipulativeness, indifference to morality, excessive self-interest, and of course, a lack of empathy. Dr. Sanja argues that it doesn't have to be this way, that game theory is a human invention and something we can ultimately unlearn. It's critical we do break out of it, because AI, technology, Aquarius, is the ultimate agent of game theory and could permanently rupture our ability to cooperate, relate, and trust each other. Five of Swords. If we keep heading in this direction, this will further solidify asymmetric power, which refers to a significant imbalance of influence, resources, or capabilities between different parties in a relationship, system, or conflict. Tech, AI, and social media are obviously being used to further isolate us, as ironic as it may seem. We see it predominantly with politics. It's us versus them. The ones who actually hold power have us right where they want us. It has turned communication and relating into a game of strategy, only saying things to get a specific outcome. An example being the current state of dating. It's inauthentic and calculating. And it's insidious. Game theory presses our deepest buttons of survival. We desire mutual benefit, but we live in a way where we must beat the next person and get there before they do, or else we will be trampled, ultimately destroying our survival. I really love this rendition of the Five of Swords. This is the Handel Tarot deck by Rachel Pollack. And I don't know if you can, let me see here. Right up here, you can see it looks like a cell and a nucleus within the cell. So we kind of see even our DNA changing with this, and even the personal within the collective. When we change, the collective changes. When the collective changes, we change. It's broad, systemic, but deeply personal. And then of course we have the swords, and then we have these swords going through the mouth and other, and this, it looks like a cow, maybe, which kind of even makes me think about nurturing and fertility and creativity and abundance, which I'll get into in a second as well. And it looks like bone too. So it is cracking through the foundation of reality. What I also love about this deck is that she incorporated the I Ching hexagrams, also super quick. You see that it says defeat on there as well. So the I Ching hexagrams, I love that she incorporates that in this card. And I looked up the hexagram, and it is number 48, the well. And I love numerology, so it's 48, so 8 plus 4 equals 12, which is the hanged one in the tarot, being held in suspension. It requires an enlightenment of sorts, a perspective change, a sacrifice of the old way of doing things, game theory, with trust and action that we can unify again. And then I took 8 plus 4 equals 12. I did 1 plus 2, that equals 3. We get the Empress, Venus. It all goes together. Abundance. It's nurturing and doesn't rush growth or creativity because of over-focusing on competitiveness and completion and power. Pairing Aquarius with Venus, we meet the 5 of Swords again. And I hope this little synopsis of hexagram 48 puts the little cherry on top of this whole thing. I am a Sag Mercury. I am just going around and around and around, and I'm like, did we get somewhere? But I think we got somewhere. So hexagram 48. Now this is what I'll leave you with. A shared spiritual or material source that nourishes everyone, but only if it is properly maintained and drawn from. Thank you.